The Indian news agency ANI has reported that US military drones arrived in India in the second week of November and were inducted into flying operations for Indian military. China is scared of India's Tejas and Rafale fighter jets, and it's increasing its 3.5 generation J16 fighter jets deployments towards India-China border. On November 21 of 2020, at the Indian Navy base at INS Rajali, the US armed and surveillance drones landed in India. The development comes almost a month after the high-profile visit of the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and then Defense Secretary Mark Esper to India for the 2+2 ministerial dialogue. Soon after the signing of the Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement during the US official visit, reports had emerged that the People's Liberation Army's Western Theater Command, which is in charge of the LAC, is said to be commissioning J-16 Chinese fighter jets aircraft in the country's western region, or which is near to India-China border. It appears to be part of the WTC's efforts to upgrade the weaponry and logistics for its forces deployed along the LAC. China is likely commissioning more squadron of the multi-role strike fighter jet on the border with India. The Chinese state media has indicated for the first time as the militaries of the two countries dig in and deploy latest weaponry along the line of actual control amid the ongoing border face-off. The sources have also underlined that amid the border tension with China, India has witnessed support from the US. The BECA signed during the top diplomat's visit is aimed at strengthening military ties between New Delhi and Washington. The current induction of the American origin drones to the Indian military has come under the emergency procurement powers granted by the India's defense minister because of India-China border conflict. The sources also told that the drones have already started flying operations, and with an endurance capability of being in air for 30 hours, they are proving to be the big asset for the maritime force and land force. Both the Indian and the Chinese militaries have deployed more troops and weaponry besides the strengthening infrastructure in the border areas along the LAC amid the worst boundary tensions with China in decades in the eastern Ladakh sector, where the soldiers from the two countries have been locked in a face-off since May of 2020. The Indian Air Force is operating 5 newly bought Rafale fighter jets in the Ladakh region, and another 3 sets of Rafale jets are landed in the northeast of India. While the several diplomatic talks failing, Chinese deploying more of J-16 raises the tension in the border. The J-16 is modeled on a Russian fighter jet series but fitted with Chinese equipment. The sources quoted by the ANI news agency said India will be acquiring 18 more drones from the US. The option for leasing weapon systems has been provisioned under the Defense Acquisition Procedure of 2020. Also, a report said one of the Chinese brigades is in a key period of switching to use Chinese J-16 heavy fighter jets. The goal is to finish the process by the end of the year. The J-16 is the third plus generation fighter jet domestically manufactured by China, while India's Tejas and Rafales are the 4th generation and 4th plus fighter jets. Chinese reports did not mention the number of fighter jets to be commissioned in the western sector, or which fighters they would be replacing. The J-16 is reportedly capable of carrying at least 8 tons of weapons. Although the J-20 is China's more advanced fighter jet, the PLA Air Force still needs J-16 as a second type of fighter jets to take on India's indigenous 4th generation lightweight combat jet Tejas. The J-16 fighter jet of China is painted with the latest version of the low observable coatings, which experts said are developed to lower the chances of warplanes being detected by the radars. So what do you think of India sending its air forces and land forces near the northeast of Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim border to China, and China is increasing its J-16 fighter jets in the border area amid the new tension between India and China in the northeast? China refuses to move back from the Ladakh in the India-China border. India has been hacked in all platforms, which many are not aware of. India wants Pakistan for its work in the POK. As we said before, China didn't move fully out of Indian territory. Now the details came in as the China is refusing to move back from Finger 4 area. Indian Army is now on high alert as this may escalate or diffuse in East Ladakh border area. Indian Defence Minister Mr. Rajnath Singh visited Ladakh yesterday and today of July 17 and 18. Notably, the 14-hour talk failed clearly between India and China. According to the Indian news media, the Z News, China refuses to move out from the Finger 4 area strongly. Indian Army with 60,000 troops now put into high alert to stop the Chinese incursion inside Indian territory, all its air force and land force ready to be deployed. India to take decision what's the next step to back off China with talks or with military power. A Singapore-based cyber threat intelligence firm, Cyfirm Research, said China's hackers are targeting and hacking Indian entities like the Defense Ministry, Reliance Jio, Airtel, Vodafone, BSNL, Micromax, Cipla, Sun Pharma, MRF and L&T, according to past reports. We also found that some of the telecom companies were facing issues from past 10 days after 59 Chinese apps were banned, which looked like Indian telecom companies struggling on hacking so that the consumers and the customers were facing issues on the tower connectivity and on call and the internet connections. This hacking might be targeting to spy and to leak trade secrets and Indian secrets. Mostly they target through the authentic fake emails and SMS and advertisements. The two hacking groups are behind this and they are close with Chinese government targeting India, Japan, Canada and Australia and Brazil. On the other side, India wants Pakistan on building a new dam in the POK on the Indus River. India claimed the building in the POK is illegal for Pakistan. Already most of the world and the Asian banks refuses to fund the project. Now China is funding to build it in a decade-long project to wind up. Pakistan signed a 442 billion rupees contract with China as a joint venture project. Pakistan commercial arms of military construction to build the dam. So what do you think of Indian Army put on high alert as well as the Chinese? China is refusing to move from the Ladakh region and the hacking into the Indian companies. What's your stand on the Pakistan building a new dam in the POK?